IU is back with two new music videos, Above the Time and Blueming. The two new music videos are actually connected, of course, to each other, but also to another past video, IU's You and I. So in this Explain, we will be going through a total of 3 music videos at once, so get prepared for the ride. The timeline starts from 2011, and let's take a look at You and I first. Note that there are so many clocks around the house. Also take a close look at these pictures. A man that seems to be IU's grandpa seems to be sort of an inventor trying to make something. At the last frame, there's a picture of a boy as well. Then IU draws a circle towards a date, which is in December, and smiles at it. Suddenly, we can see a boy sleeping. Also, there's a complicated looking device that probably is a time dimension shifting machine. IU tries to wake the boy up with the goose's feather, but he won't budge. Then we finally get into the lyrics. We can see that IU is working on making a time machine, probably the one her grandfather tried to accomplish. Why is it a time machine? Well, the lyrics give us an answer. So now we know that IU is in love with someone. However, because of certain circumstances, like her being underage, the two cannot be together as of now. That's why she urges the person to wait, and that's the reason why she wants to make the time machine, to go to the future. On the Fantasy Express, IU can see the future, the two becoming a couple. However, we are not sure that she actually has the ability to see the future because literally the train is named Fantasy, so there are possibilities that it's just her imagination. Also, in IU's song called Last Fantasy, it starts with the lyric, "I had a good dream, which was more beautiful than any flower." Now remember this song because it's going to appear again in the other MVs. Now IU draws a clock with the time 12:20 on the boy's wrist. If you compare it to the clock in the background of IU's dancing scene, which is set at 12:05-ish, she's trying to turn the time faster, just like she says in the lyrics. In 2011, when You and I was released, IU was only 19 years old. According to the lyrics, she was waiting to become an adult and probably felt attracted to someone who was already an adult. That's why she wants to travel to the future because she simply can't wait. Then she gets into the time machine and sets it to 2019, December 31st. But as the time machine activates, ironically, the boy finally wakes up. Finally, IU has traveled through time and leaves a message in the lyrics to call her name so that she can recognize him even in the future. And then the man naturally finds the clock drawn on his wrist. After that, we can see that the man has grown up and the watch is showing the same time IU has drawn in the past. So, time has passed and the man and IU have finally met in the future. Unfortunately, it seems like IU's pet goose didn't make it though. As the man is trying to leave the store, he looks back, and then they both recognize each other. Now that's how the You and I music video ends, but now we've literally traveled to 2019, almost December, and coincidentally IU has released her new song around this time. And actually the title is called Above the Time. So let's see how this new music video connects to You and I. The music video starts by showing a calendar that indicates it's December 31st, the D-Day, and the Korean title of the song is written on the left side of the screen, which would translate into outside of the time. But the song's official title is above the time. It makes you curious why IU chose to translate it in that way. Also, we can see the subtitle saying author IU. But this is actually a witty expression because 지은이, which means author in Korean, is IU's actual Korean name, 이지은. Then we see the same guy from UNI, Ihyunwoo, sitting on the rooftop with the goose with him. Apparently the goose didn't make it through the time machine and stayed. Then we see IU in a somewhat surreal space, sitting in a paper boat made out of music sheets.
서로를 닮아 기울어진 삶 소원을 담아 차오르는 달 하려다만 괄호 속의 말 이제야
We can see from the clock that it's 5 minutes till midnight, the date IU and the boy are supposed to meet. We can observe that the setting is the same house from UNI because of the pictures, clocks, and trains. But something is different. The person in the picture has changed from IU to the boy. We can infer from the lyrics that the two look alike or are similar in some sort of way. But ironically, that factor makes their love hard to accomplish.
어디도 닿지 않는 나의 단 넌 영원히 도착할 수 없는 섬 같아 헤매던 날 이제야
IU expresses her candid feelings that she wants to anchor into the boy, but in reality, he's like an island that she can never arrive to.
기록하지 않아도 내가 널 전부 기억할 테니까.
We can now see that the boy is trying to make a time machine as well. And IU, which is trapped in another dimension, is looking into the house the boy is in. If you look closely to the house, it has the lyrics of this song above the time on it. It says, 나 잃어버렸던 널 되찾으러. I may have lost you, but I'm going to go find you again. Also, the pictures show Fantasy Express, which is written on the train from UNI, and plus we see another picture of the shop they are supposed to meet in the future. Basically, IU has the will to go through time and dimensions to meet the boy again.
기다려 기어이 우리가 만나면 시간의 테두리 바깥에서 과거를 밟지 않고서 나면 숨이 차게 춤을 추겠어.
Both IU and the boy want to meet each other. As we can see, the boy still has the mark 12:20 IU has left on his wrist, but the time hasn't come yet. Through IU's lyrics, we can know that the two are in a hard situation to reunite. In order to meet, they need to meet outside of time's border. That would explain the title above the time, which means they need to transcend time.
낮에도 받지 않은 나의 밤 끝없는 밤 남겨오신 밤 넌 어떨까 나와 같을까 알 수 없음 배 아파지던 맘
IU confesses that her outside wasn't bright even during the day. It felt like an endless night without her other half. She wondered if the boy felt the same, but there was no way to know, and thus her heart ached.
더 멀리 자유 그 위로 가자 내일이 우릴 찾지 못할 곳에서 기쁘게 만나
Here, IU directly says she wants to escape together, where nobody, even time, cannot find them, towards freedom and happiness.
이제야 한눈에 찾지 못해도 돼 내가 널 알아볼 테니까 기다려
She also says that even if it's not at once, we can take baby steps and that she will recognize him, meaning she can try more. She tells him to wait a bit. This message is symbolized by the pouring water and feather being connected between dimensions. It's a sign of slow progress towards them breaking the limitations of time and space and reuniting. Also, if you remember in You and I, she asked the boy to call her name in fear that she might not recognize him. But now, after 8 years has passed, she's saying that she will recognize him first, that she's ready and more enthusiastic.
기어이 우리가 만나면 시간의 테두리 바깥에서 과거를 멈지 않고 산다면 숨이 차게 춤을 추겠어.
Reiterating the chorus again, IU says they need to meet outside of the frame of time and forget about the past, meaning they need to break the shackles around them and try to transcend the limitations of reality. Then they will be truly able to reunite and finally dance together. Right after she says that, the boy realizes it too and decides to go on a further step. Rather than just waiting for time to pass, he turns the needle to the time they promised to meet. And after the boy turns the needle, he is finally warped outside of the house, and suddenly the whole world starts to quake. Now remember this vibration because it continues in Blueming too. And finally they reunite in a new space, which is neither the space they were both trapped inside. This new space is a dimension where nobody but them exist, which is full of flowers and sunlight. IU at first is like, what took you so long? But then they start dancing merrily.
드디어 기다림의 이유를 만나러 꿈결에도 잊지 않았던 잠결에도 잊을 수 없었던 너의 이름을 불러줄게.
IU keeps on repeating the word finally again and again in the lyrics. After all that waiting and dreams, she can finally call his name. This again is a total change from You and I's lyrics because she wanted the boy to call her name at then, but now she's ready to call the boy's name herself now. While they're having the time of their life in this new dimension, it seems like their time was either limited or a dream from the beginning because the clock that was drawn on the boy's wrist has now disappeared.
긴 서사를 거쳐 비로소 첫 줄로 접혀 나 두려움 따윈 없어.
IU says that they have come such a long way. Now it's finally time to write the first line of their story, and she's not afraid to do so. So IU decides to draw something on his hand as the first line of their story, which happens to be a blue rose.
서로를 감아보게 하신 삶 그들을 감아 내려보는 달 여전히 말하고 싶은 말 우리 좀 봐 꼭 하나 같아.
IU says that they have so much to talk about and that they look like the perfect match and similar, like the same person. Finally, the two are ready to meet each other for real, and the man decides to bring down a ladder to climb her up into his life. By reading the book with all of IU's lyrics on it, he is accepting her whole story until now and trying to understand it. IU had nothing but music around her until now, which did soothe her and kept her safe, but also as a career confined her. At the end, she finally escapes her lonely musical sail and climbs up the ladder to meet the boy. So that's it. That's the end of the Above the Time music video. But what happens to them next? Well, that story is shown in her next music video, Blueming.
뭐해라는 두 글자에 네가 보고 싶어 날 속맘을 담아 이모티콘 하나하나 속에 달라지는 내 미묘한 심리를 알까? Oh.
So, do you remember the shaking and vibration I told you about before? In both MVs, it's used as a sign that the two are getting closer and they're interacting. Being even more true to the lyrics, in this case, we could say that it represents the vibration of a text message, as IU goes downstairs to check the mailbox and finds a blue rose.
아니 바쁘지 않아 Nothing 나나 잠들어 있지 않아 Insomnia 냐냐 지금 다른 사람과 함께이지 않아 나도 너를 생각 중
Are you busy? Are you sleeping? Who are you with? I'm thinking of you. Inferring from her response in the lyrics, these are the text messages the person sent to her in the form of a blue rose.
Yeah, 네모가는 꿈 어디서 가라가로 장미꽃을 피워 향기에 취할 것 같아 오직 둘만의 비밀의 정원
Now the situation has escalated. It seems like the dude is sending some text bombs to IU. And the lyrics, a secret flower garden of our own, kind of reminds you of a certain place, right? And plus, on the wall, you can see that she might have received a present as well.
밤샘 작업으로 업데이트 흥미로운 이 작품의 지은이 That's me oh. 어쩜 이 관계의 클라이맥스 이 막으로 넘어가게 지금이 그 타이밍
You can see IU painting a blue rose for the dude. Then what does a blue rose stand for? According to the flower glossary, since these don't actually exist in nature, a blue rose often represents unattainableness. Many people also believe that they also represent inner feelings of love at first sight or impossible love. So that's what it means, and it totally makes sense now from what we've seen from the Above the Time music video. But now, even though it might still be hard to make this love possible, by giving back and forth blue roses, someday the love might be achieved. Also in the lyrics of this part, as I explained before, IU plays with the word 지은이, author, because her name is 지은이 too. This also follows in line with the Above the Time lyrics because she declared that she will be the one actively writing their new story from now on. Then she says this might be a good timing for Act 2 in this relationship. While Above the Time was just the first line of the story, you can see that their relationship has developed.
조금 장난스러운 나의 은유에 네 발성이 궁금해 우리의 색은 green and blue 어디서 가락으로 말풍선을 띄워 금세 터질 것 같아 루비가 빠져 어지러워
Divided by the wall of impossible love, IU secretly disguises herself and delivers a present. The present is expressed as a playful metaphoric text, and she's curious how the dude will react to or decipher it. Well, the dude didn't take the joke as a joke, because he's demanding a clear answer and a phone call now. They start to bicker, throwing things at each other, but in the inside they're feeling all blue. Not as in blue blue, but love is blooming blue.
쓰게 없이 보낼 게 사랑인 것 같아 백만 송이 장미꽃을 나랑 피워볼래 꽃잎에 색은 우리만 가는 대로 칠해 시들 때도 예쁘게
Just as she feels true love and wants to go into the next step, IU checks the mailbox but finds nothing in it and becomes worried. But then she sees a bunch of blue flowers bloom and now feels optimistic.
우리의 네모가는 꿈 어디서 가락으로 장미꽃을 피워 향기에 취할 것 같아 오직 둘만의 비밀의 정원
IU finally gets ready to go on a date. She changes clothes several times to look as best as she can. The two get closer and closer with the wall of impossible love in between by texting each other. The balloons are a metaphor for word balloons in text messages. You can see how many conversations they've had by the number of withered flowers on the ground. And at last, they confront each other and throw away their balloons. Which means they're throwing away the barrier of text, phones, impossibleness, and they're all gone. So now they can finally talk face to face. So finally, we've come to an end of this explained. To give you a whole summary of the storyline of all three songs, it's basically about forbidden love and trying to overcome it, expressed in time and dimension travel. In You and I, IU loves that guy, but they cannot love each other because she's not old enough. Plus, they're too similar to each other, and maybe the guy was another artist in reality. And that's why she wants to go to the future. However, she travels too far, and in that process, she becomes trapped on a boat or train journeying her musical career or celebrity life, which was a barrier that made it hard for them to love. But now she shows that she's ready to leave that boat, which could be her musical career or whatever people think about her dating and loving and all, and just escape to that alternative dimension where nobody can find them. And currently, it seems like that love is blooming because they're secretly sending each other flowers and messages over the fence. And I think all three of these songs portray IU's personal journey from when she started her musical career at such a young age and couldn't really love someone wholeheartedly without having the efforts of crossing time and space. But now that the time has passed, and she can do whatever she wants, she is willing to make what was impossible possible, and we can now see it's slowly blooming.